Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about the recent developments, and we are going to talk about some of the commentary that has come out from those developments, and just kind of run through some of the talking points that have been generated, particularly in regard to why there weren't Americans. And we're going to do this not just because the talking points are not good, but in many cases they're actively bad. They hurt. They don't help. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you missed the news. The pause is in effect. Okay? The pause is in effect, and the exchanges have started. Captives are heading home. In the first group, there were no Americans, and a lot of American commentators have taken this and started running with it. Okay? Can't believe there were no Americans. That's surprising to you? Why would there be? Just out of curiosity. Given the general dynamics of how this stuff normally works. Why would Americans be in the first batch out? Well, because they're what? Exactly. Generally speaking, the first people released in a situation like this, they are those that are least valuable to the people holding them. Those are the people that get to go home first. Another way to say that would be the most likely to end up on a video if things went the other way. Those are the people that get to go home first, normally. I don't know why anybody would expect for there to be a bunch of Americans in the first batch. That's not how any of this works. The Americans are more valuable to them, so they wouldn't get rid of them first. But because of this surprising development, for whatever reason, it has led to talking points that center on Trump, but these talking points come through a lot in other places, and it's worth just kind of going through them and making sure people understand that they're bad. Well, Trump would have got them all back the first day because he doesn't negotiate with people like this. Who told you that? That's a line from a B action movie. It's not how real world foreign policy works. The U.S. absolutely negotiates. You know who we should ask? The current leadership of Afghanistan. We could start by asking the Deputy Prime Minister of Economic Affairs. Start there. If you don't know who that is, that's a person that Trump and his team got out of prison so he could participate in a negotiation with the U.S. that eventually led to a deal that was so bad that when the details became public, everybody was like, hey, the national government's going to fall. And then it did. Trump actually wasn't good at this, just so you know. But the idea itself of we don't negotiate, that's the part that needs to be focused on. Yes, we do. Don't get your understanding of how this type of stuff works from action movies. Yes, the U.S. does. That's just something that gets said. Going along with that, since we don't negotiate, we would have bombed them until that they gave us our people back. You can honestly look at the situation that's going on over there and think the issue is a lack of bombing. That doesn't work either, just so you know. The Palestinian forces there, they're not a military, they're a movement. It doesn't work the same way. The stuff from the air actually leads to extra people, right? Those extra people that are no longer here, they have families. You're not destroying them, you're recruiting for them. And it continues the cycle. More importantly, in this case in particular, it's actually part of the leadership strategy to get the U.S. involved in that kind of role, because they're hoping it could create a regional conflict, and in their mind, it might lead to like a coalition of Arab tanks heading towards Tel Aviv. Now, that's not going to happen, and we've talked about why, but that's what they believe. Why would you play into that? More importantly, if holding the Americans doesn't help, what do you think they would do with them? They don't need them anymore. The tough guy talking points, the bumper sticker slogans, they have no place here. It's almost like this is not a simple situation. Yes, because the United States has engaged in a little bit of encouraging Israel to be restrained and has chosen to help mediate in some ways when it comes to negotiations and stuff like that. Yeah, the Americans may be some of the last people released. You might start to see some get mixed in now that the pause is truly in effect and there's a little bit of security going on. But yeah, it is going to take time. But the reason is because they're viewed as the most valuable, which also means they're the safest. It may take longer, but there's a much higher likelihood that they return standing up. I would point out that while people are talking about this and the speed at which Americans come home, the goal here should actually be to extend this lull as long as humanly possible to hopefully get some people who are not at a sand table but are at a boardroom table to work out some kind of permanent deal, so a whole bunch of extra people, civilians, uninvolved, don't get lost. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.